What's up, guys? Welcome to the Don't Panic podcast, or the DPP for short. This is actually last week's episode. If you want today's episode, head on over to patreon.com/Don't Panic Podcast. You'll get early access to all of our podcast episodes, as well as access to our monthly bonus episodes, and they're all ad-free over there. Once again, that's patreon.com/Don't Panic Podcast. Now, please enjoy this free episode. Peace.
So, welcome to the Don't Panic podcast. Today we've got a few things that we want to bring up, talk to you about, maybe chill you out just a little bit. Anyway, one of the things I want to start with was Oracle, a tech company partnering with TikTok. Now, there's been a lot of talk coming from the Trump campaign about wanting to ban TikTok. If you haven't been caught up to speed, we are very much on the recording of this episode nearing the final days of TikTok's ability to be an app on in the United States. Now, a company called Oracle Corp has succeeded in its bid to partner with the social media platform after ByteDance rejected an offer from Microsoft. This was reported by the Wall Street Journal. And it was surprising because everyone was pretty sure that Microsoft was going to take that. Oracle confirmed on Monday that its involvement will serve as a trusted technology provider for TikTok.
Okay.
So they provide secure, highly performant technology solutions. I'm not quite sure what that means. Unnamed sources from the Wall Street Journal say it's going to be an outright sale. Spokespeople from TikTok didn't really respond. It's also becoming weird because China updated its export rules to require government approval for the sale of artificial intelligence.
Wall Street Journal says it's not likely not to be structured as an outright sale.
Yeah. There was actually a... Hold on. Oof. This is going to be difficult because there was a TikToker who has been doing, sort of updates on this situation. And essentially what he said that this means is that they're really not doing much of anything. TikTok isn't going to fundamentally change because of this partnership.
I figured that. I figured that was probably why they stayed away from something huge like Microsoft, because they were seeking a transition company that would allow them to basically function exactly the same.
Right. So what he's saying is that Trump's own ban doesn't make any sense because there would need to be security issues within Apple and Android's own ecosystems. So because they're not able to buy the U.S. operations, it's very likely that, at least from the creator's perspective, just them selling them like cloud storage. And this guy, the Oracle CEO, is just finding a way to suck up to Trump because, one, you kind of can't outright ban TikTok for security reasons because there isn't much of a threat coming from the side of like Android and Apple Marketplace. Right. And they're not outright selling the operations, so they're just becoming it's nonsense. Like the whole TikTok ban and this money transaction around it is just another like thing Trump is probably throwing out there to just be like, hey, don't look at COVID, look over here. Don't
Yeah.
see the man in the don't look at the man behind the curtain. He is of no concern to you.
Yeah, he's doing a big old Wizard of Oz.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, what TikTok and ByteDance are doing is they're turning the tables on Trump because by allowing a tech vendor like Oracle to acquire rights, it means that basically their hierarchy and the way that they function is going to remain the same.
Yeah.
The only way that Trump could really win out in the situation now is if he pulls a Russia or China and demands that all U.S. corporations basically provide all gathered data to the government.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and some do and some don't. There was this was a long time ago, like 2 years ago, maybe last year. I think 2 years ago, when ICE was doing a lot of rounding up of people, and
Mm-hmm.
they basically what they wanted to do was they wanted access to Apple's like find my iPhone like location services,
Yeah.
so they could basically track and then take in suspected, you know, undocumented immigrants. And Apple
Mm-hmm.
said, "Nah, yeah, we can't morally do that shit." So they didn't let they wanted what they wanted was they wanted Apple to code a backdoor in for the the DHS to basically um, have an entranceway into Apple's systems to be able to track and find these people. And Apple said, "No, they're not doing it." And then the DHS said, "Well, then we're going to sue you." And Apple said, "All right, that's fine. We believe in our lawyers." I don't actually remember what came of that. I think it got dropped because everyone was like, "This is fucking stupid." It looks like some senators, like Josh Hawley of Missouri, um, are trying to basically urge or influence the CFIUS, which is the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States. We spoke about them 2 episodes ago because they're the ones who would have to who reviewed the transaction of Musically to ByteDance for when it became TikTok. So they would be the overseers on this on the audit of this transaction as well.
Mm.
And so it looks like some senators are basically urging them to reject the deal so TikTok can ultimately be banned instead.
Wow. So these guys
Yeah.
are actively trying to get TikTok banned and just end any possibility of this.
Yeah, I mean they're Republican senators. They're on Trump's side, and they realize what TikTok is doing here, and they're like, TikTok is going to make a fool of Trump here, so we have to do something. So
They're scared of the TikTok teens.
pretty much, they're scared of the K-pop stands.
Their power is real. Oh yeah, I was gonna say before we you started talking about oh my, hold on. Oof, sorry my guy. I had audio issues for a second. Um, yeah, before you started going on about the TikTok thing, I was gonna say even recently, when it comes to the government and iPhones, um, even as recently as like 2020, like in January, Barr is pressuring Apple to help law enforcement unlock iPhones that belong to uh, deceased. Hold on, I just heard my headphones disconnect. To deceased Royal Saudi Air Force lieutenants. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, basically, Barr is claiming that without Apple's help, investigators, will unable to be get access to the device's content. Jesus. Um, So Apple has said in many times, like that many times before, that they can't break encryption on their phones even if they want to.
I mean, I think that they could, but it would be a big workaround because,
Yeah,
I mean, Apple's coding is like, there's a reason it is the way it is, and there's a reason why, I mean, Apple doesn't really have hacking issues like that, is because they have, everything set in a specific way. So they could, but, there's no real incentive for them to do it either,
yeah,
because they would, I mean, I guess the government could pay them, but they would be losing a huge consumer base by sort of playing fetch here.
yeah, and it just kind of opens up a precedent. Like once that back door is open, you can't close it. Once they're able to, like, you know, look into everyone's text messages and whatnot, you've stepped into one of the kind of great questions of the digital age, like what is our freedom of speech on our phones and shit. Like,
Yeah.
I think seriously, even with like this whole TikTok ban, um, you know, there are very interesting and particular details about how TikTok operates. As we've mentioned before, they don't really allow like political advertisement on their stuff, and that doesn't sit very well with the Trump campaign. We've talked about Cambridge Analytica and their very, very thoroughly studied and demonstrable material effect on the last election cycle,
Hmm.
and the fact that TikTok doesn't have the same avenues for Trump to, like, maintain his strong viral presence that he had before. Um, you know, Not having that on TikTok, the arguably one of the biggest growing apps in the last couple of years, and it's a threat. It's a threat to him and his sort of disinformation campaign, and where where a lot of his power comes from.
Yeah. And when you're talking about setting a dangerous precedent, it really does because it would give them sort of a really clear cut look at our data and everything that we do and say. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding right now as to like how our data is collected, perceived, interpreted, and etc.
Mm-hmm.
Because the common respite is just like, oh well, they're always watching, they're always listening. Your Alexa here, your phone there, they're tracking you. It's kind of true, but it's not like, oh, they're listening on this conversation, they know everything you say, they know all these details. It's more along the lines of the way that the systems are coded is to pick out things.
Yeah,
So something that
that's
might happen
actually
is you might talk to your friend and the Alexa might pick you up, saying, all right, I'm thinking about buying a lawnmower, right? And everyone's like, oh
right.
god, I got ads for a lawnmower. And like, yeah, it's because the code there is to pick up on keywords, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not like it it's not like it understood your phrase, which is why sometimes you get ads for things you're not saying, like, oh, I'm thinking about buying this. You might just hit on one of however many million keywords there are, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And same thing goes for even like national security threat stuff is, they look out for specific phrases, specific keywords. Then of course the NSA will do like a screening on you and stuff like that if you say
Yeah.
something like as disastrous, and here comes my screening right now. Something
Mm-hmm.
as
Mm-hmm.
disastrous as like, I'm gonna bomb Times Square. you know
Right.
so right now, is it kind of scary? Yeah, a little bit. It's really on the corporate end than anything else right now, because
Mm-hmm.
targeted marketing is like, I mean, it's a huge part of how we function, because like, TV media is dying. Ads are not watched. You know, People don't watch ads that are given to them. So like the quickest way to do it is to just plop a product right in front of you with a link. boom, right there to Amazon. That's the only way they're, you start looking at like millennials and Gen Z as the adults and the buying power in the U.S. That's how they're going to have to market to us. Like I don't watch ads. I don't get the urge to buy things from ads. But you know what I do get the urge to buy things when I'm scrolling Facebook and I see just a line of products in a swiping form, from Amazon that are like, here's some cool tech stuff you might be interested in. I'm like, oh shit, what's that? Oh shit, I can get a hard drive for like $80. I might just put this in my cart. But I'm not gonna watch an ad, Like I've never seen a Wendy's ad and been like, I want that.
It's, it's interesting that you bring that up because the what I got here on the docket is this
Yeah,
social media Netflix documentary where a bunch of the basically guys that were you know, CEOs and heads of like monetization and marketing within like Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, and they talked about how the algorithms like work, and how it tracks everything you do on social media from your like how long you look at an image, what friends you talk to, which friends profiles and their notifications and stuff will get you to keep scrolling on their app, right? So it's essentially like reading every bit of your behavior so that it can find a way to sell you something that you may or may not want to see. And it's kind of crazy because it's affected so many things. And there are like, the YouTube algorithm, and the Facebook algorithm, the way that it worked, all had a really material effect on a lot of people's behavior when it came to like conspiracy theory bullshit, like
mhm.
Pizzagate. Because people would like look up anti-vax stuff and you know, what are some other like conspiracies like 9/11 stuff. They'd like the zeitgeist, whatever, and then it would
Even currently, COVID.
direct them COVID. Yeah, but like I'm talking about like back then when Pizzagate was a thing,
Oh,
it right, the algorithm started organizing all these people and being like, hey, you might like these Pizzagate memes. Um, oh god, and it ended up having one dude honestly believe that shooting up a pizza shop uh, was a good idea because all these stories on the internet were like, oh, they're selling kids out of the basement of this pizza shop uh, in this small town where the pizza shop in question doesn't have a basement.
it was in DC.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, it didn't even have a basement, and you can really pin all of that onto like Alex Jones.
yeah. You can pin a lot of um, that stuff is it's a little bit of both. It's those people, having their platform, buying, ad space, and Facebook's algorithm kind of figuring out the right kind of person that would gel with that kind of content. And not
Mhm.
just Facebook, YouTube, um, like it really does create that like crazy echo chamber, um, and it's kind of
Yeah,
by design to affect your behavior to keep you as invested as possible.
yeah, because it's the same idea as like news sources, but the problem is that they social media websites and news sources alike do this kind of thing because they get their profits from engagement. So
Yeah.
they have to do these sort of underhanded tactics, but then
Mm-hmm.
you end up in a scenario where now you've kind of by proxy, um, incited violence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's the right that's like really falling for the crazy shit and being overtly violent towards everybody else,
Yeah.
because they're the I mean, I don't know if I have a way of really breaking down how and why, but it seems like the right is a lot more susceptible to that kind of propaganda toward, empowering their sort of violent tendency and emotion to lash out. And, there's a reason why all the mass shooters are far right. There's a reason why,
Yeah.
all these armed wannabe Superman boogaloos are from the far right. The Proud Boys who are assaulting people in the street, they're all from the right. You don't see these kinds of things happening on the left. And,
Yeah.
if the political spectrum was really sort of side A and side B, then you would see an equal amount of it, but there isn't.
I
So it
mean,
has
even in
something to do with the sort of the political ideology of conservatism, but I'm not sure if I can really break that down substantially.
oh, it can easily be very can be pinpointed if you look at some of the cultural icons and artifacts of what conservatism gels with, in the sense that, like, here's a really really fucking easy one. Clint Eastwood, right? Clint
Mm.
Eastwood has spoke at the RNC. He's a director um, of films that pit him as this sort of old timey badass white guy that you know needs to take the law into his own hands because, like, immigrants are coming in and making his neighborhood rough, right? And if you go back even earlier into his filmography, he was very big in a time where, like, police regulation was trying to curtail, violent officers, doing dumb shit, and the response from what is essentially a piece of art from a conservative perspective is the only one that can save them is this uh, hyper violent renegade, doesn't plays by his own rules, doesn't listen to the fucking um, pencil pushing bureaucratic sissies that want him to, like, investigate stuff and not just go in guns a blazing.
Hmm.
Um, right, and that's been part of his thing for a decent part of his career. And he was also, fucking John Wayne, a symbol of Western American exceptionalism. With his fucking movies, and their the Western film genre was a American art form that essentially uh, rewrites history of the colonization and organization of the American West and Midwest.
Mm.
It tells stories of, like, fucking cowboys on horseback shooting guns and shit and being lawmen, and, like, you know when it really wasn't like that. It was like farmers and prostitutes and shit, and, like, fucking gold miners, and they were just kind of all hanging out.
Yeah. Well, there's always been, a pretty excessive amount of sensationalism into what America is like, what American ideals are like, in Hollywood, and
Mm-hmm.
it all sort of falls under patriotic propaganda. No, but that Netflix documentary is actually very interesting. What is the name of that?
Let me find that real quick.
Um, it's not The Great Hack, is it?
No, 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 no. The Social Dilemma.
The Social Dilemma. Okay. The Great Hack is definitely something you should watch. Also on Netflix, it's about the whole Cambridge Analytica scandal on
Mm-hmm.
with Facebook, and how it influenced um, the election. My this friend that I continuously talk about, who I am
Mm-hmm.
slowly dragging more and more left. Um, he watched The Great Hack on Netflix, and he messaged me afterwards. He's like, I never knew like what kind of like power and interference like really happened. I mean, he's anti-Trump. He's been anti-Trump since the get-go. Since his first speech, where he made a disgusting generalization against basically all Hispanic Latino people.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, which is why my friend who's Puerto Rican and Cuban was like, dude, he may have said Mexicans, but we know what he meant, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and that's against me and my family and like my indigenous heritage, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so, he's hated Trump since, but he was like, I never really knew like, what sort of internal workings there were. I just saw that we lost. I was like, yeah, and like this is the kind of stuff that we're up against. And so he's definitely been getting getting an earful, his brain, his mind filled with over the past few months.
I
Uh,
mean, this is I feel like this is a time where people are open to criticisms of the world around them, and you know, it's important that you know we kind of all stick together in these times. I'm getting a little no, because it's got like that just kind of made me think. 'Cause I know some people who some friends of mine who were kind of center right leaning before COVID, and they're all kind of moving left, and some of them are moving more right, which is unfortunate. And it's definitely a it's almost uh, it's interesting to me because it's a reaction to similar observations, um, with very very different endpoints, when you follow each rabbit hole down the right, what the down the tunnel. Like if you go all the way to the left, they're like, oh, it's the bourgeoisie. If you go all the way to the right, they're like, oh, it's the fucking foreigners or the Jews. So
yeah,
eh. But a lot of it is a response to a failure of capitalism. And I think the social dilemma is going to, as a piece of art and information, it's going to sort of shake how people view their online presence and their online actions. And I think it's a really good thing because there are ways to sort of get around the behavioral influence of social media. There are Google plugins to block ads. There are Google plugins to like um, turn off certain notifications so you know your shit isn't always buzzing, and you're not and your screen time isn't crazy. You know,
yeah.
but
Um,
it's it's a um, just I think it's an important conversation of ethics that I think is building, and we're going to be having until you and I are like old farts.
yeah, I think one thing that's really happened here with COVID and everything else going on is it's really kind of pulled the curtain back on just just really everything, and people that were kind of sitting on the sidelines are really sort of just seeing everything for what it is, and they're kind of sort of picking sides.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say that everyone's seeing everything for what it is. I think that some people are seeing everything for what it is, and others are starting to, uh, you know, are seeing some things, but are being affected by uh, certain insecurities or like biases that they haven't addressed yet.
Yeah, yeah. I meant like like the people in the center that have kind of sat and watched.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
As we talk about these people that have their insecurities stoked, and they fall victim to this, this far right radicalization this
Hmm.
sensationalizing of like this enemy that's coming after them.
Yeah.
I had a tweet earlier today that basically said that when white supremacy has convinced you that America is synonymous with whiteness, then of course you would see a movement demanding racial equality as terroristic. So a lot, we talk about these people a lot. These people that feel like they specifically are under attack in everything that they've worked for and everything, that they're quote unquote proud of that they built, and the country, to the point where like you look at what's going on the West Coast right now. I mean, holy shit, the whole goddamn West Coast is on fire, and you
Yeah.
have a guy, you have people like Trump and people from that side stoking those fires by saying, there's caravans of illegal Antifa Mexicans coming up to start these fires. So this guy goes out looking for, because he hears rumors and looking for these Antifa fire starters, and ends up dying. you know,
Wow.
like the absolute dumbest thing. Because and then you have who this guy who got like awful burns because he tried to start a brush fire with a Molotov cocktail. This is a guy
Uh-huh.
from the far right that wanted to pin it on Antifa, tried to start a fire with a Molotov cocktail, ends up burning himself.
Jesus. This is dude, there's a map. Hold on. Since the inception of gender reveal parties, like a gender reveal party literally started one of the fires in the last couple of months. And in since um like I don't know, what was it, 2016 when those things started?
Mm-hmm.
There's been sparked 10,000 fires.
Yeah, like that one gender reveal party in California is responsible for what they consider to be at least 7,000 acres of burning.
Yep.
And it's like, and you look at these gender reveal parties, like there's been like countless deaths too. Like some woman in Iowa was like killed by like a homemade pipe bomb that was supposed to be. First of all, why are you doing that, bro? Like just cut a cake. Cut a cake if you have to do the whole gender thing, which I think is absolutely dumb anyway. If you gotta do it, cut a goddamn cake. Have a balloon. My friends went out into Wissahickon Park, and they had little smoke like things,
Yep.
right? They weren't explosions. They wanted you to just pop the cap off and go shh like that. And of course, like um, my friend didn't know the sex, and then like he's like, oh my god, it's a girl, it's pink, blah blah blah, But like, why are you
Mm-hmm.
doing all this extra bullshit? Like this is some white people shit, okay? And this woman got killed by because a homemade pipe bomb exploded and a piece of shrapnel went into her head. Okay,
Wait, and
there's
this is for a gender reveal party?
a gender reveal party in October of 19. In November of 19, there was a gender reveal that was supposed to be done by plane, and the plane crashed. Like
People are dumb. This is
all kinds of like dumb shit.
it's such a weird thing. Like people literally start fires over the, you know, future genitalia of their kid. I don't get it. I'm not really all that hyped to know how my kid's gonna take a piss.
Yeah, I don't.
Good for them.
I don't care. Like, are you planning on loving it less? Oh my god! I think there was also one from that I remember from like college where like their gender reveal was to like feed a watermelon to a hippo at the zoo, and then like
What happened?
I'm pretty sure someone got injured. I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know. Maybe the dude got bit by the hippo, something dumb like that. I want it to be that, honestly. I think they
I
deserve that
saw
shit.
an alligator one that went pretty successfully.
When we're touting that they went successfully, I think it means they have to stop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I'm pretty sure like with the amount of damage that they've caused, we need to retire gender reveal parties with all that extravagancy. But
And the woman who invented them hates them, and her child, who she did the gender reveal for, is non-binary.
yeah, right. Imagine doing all that and your kid comes out as trans. I'm pretty sure someone tweeted that, but that's funny as shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So like,
The gender reveal parties have caused more damage than protests. And speaking of protests, you want to talk about Trump and his
oh
he's
yeah,
going to put down the protests?
yeah. I mean, there's not much to this one. I mean, we already know how just dictatorish Trump is, and like the terrible things he says, and he uses and endorses a lot of fascist language, which has
Yeah,
sort of has powered his base and all that stuff. But basically, in one of his most recent rallies, and I'm not even the one who actually saw this first. My friend is the one who saw it first, and we
okay.
were on Xbox, and he was like, "Holy shit, what?" And he plays it, and Trump is basically the summary is like, he said, "Oh, when I win again, if there's protests, then we're gonna put them down." He
Hmm.
used the very specific language of "put them down," which of course, his fans will be like, "Ah, well, you're taking it out of context. He just means like we're gonna keep people from getting too rowdy and all that." And I'm like, no, put them down is very specific and like very intentional and calculated wording.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I'm gonna go put my dog down.
Yeah,
Like
and you think, oh, you're gonna kill your dog? No, 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 no. I was just gonna like let it get him to lay down, rub him, and he'll fall asleep. Like that's not what put down means. You can't just use words and phrases and decide they mean something else. I mean, Trump can
yeah,
apparently, and he's been doing that. You know, he's amazingly the person who always means what he says and always gets straight to the point, but is simultaneously always misconstrued and taken out of context. It's one or the other. But
yeah. Oh, the same way that Antifa is a bunch of blue-haired crying snowflakes, but they're also taking over and destroying Western civilization, and they're gonna
yeah,
you know they're a major threat. It's very fashy language.
yeah, it's worded in a very specific way to incite violence against anyone on the left because obviously Antifa is not any it's not an organization, it's not a group of people. It's just like
No,
it's a movement. Either you're anti-fascist or you're not.
yeah,
But what it does is it tells his base, these people that love to dress in like faux military with their ARs, that your enemy is weak, so you can take them, but they're a threat to you, so you should act on it.
mm, mm, mm. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, you have Charlottesville, where you have a group of seven grown men beating the shit out of just a black chick who happened to be in the area with bats and shit.
Yeah,
I mean, thank God, luckily he's not dead, but he's paralyzed. You know,
yeah.
and most of these men got away scot free. I remember, I'm very bullish on Sean King. You know,
Sean
that's his
King's a
name, right?
weird guy. He's a weird entity. I don't get him.
Yeah, I'm very bullish on him. But one thing he did do was he did incite his base and use the power of his platform to track down, I believe, 4 out of the 7 men who did that from Charlottesville and get them arrested and charged.
Well, that's good. Shoutouts to
Yeah,
that guy. He's done a bunch of other dumb shit.
yeah. I think that his heart's in the right place, but he's definitely done some stuff that has drawn the ire of left people. I'd say he's pretty staunchly liberal. You know.
Yeah, and he's also just kind of like a shady business dude. I'm certain if you look it up, there's definitely something funny about him and some like charity organization, and there are some accusations of him being a Rachel Dolezal type of character. He's a great resource. See, here's the thing that um, for certain things, he's a pretty decent resource of information. But at the same time, there are a lot of other people who find that he oversteps his boundaries, and there are just very, real concerns when it comes to some of like his charitable dealings. And people have made some claims that he's a little bit fishy, but at the same time, he has organized and done some decent work, and that's just like the complications of it people doing shit.
I mean, yeah, he definitely has a strong platform. And he's got a really large fan base, and him using that platform for messages and being very pro BLM and all that stuff is very good. People say like, "Oh, what are they doing? They're not doing anything." Celebrities, whatever. Like people trying to tear down Naomi Osaka for wearing a different face mask every single day that says, that has the name of a victim of police brutality. I'm like, celebrities using their platform has historically drawn strong results because all of what it does is it spreads awareness.
Yeah,
And so King doing that is good. I
yeah,
definitely feel like he's let his platform get to his head a little bit, and he sees himself as sort of an authority on black issues and social injustice. And I
hmm
think these are the kinds of things, movement wise, that really need to be have no real like centralized authority or like figureheads to them. There's not really movement leaders and stuff like that. Um, I mean, some people might disagree with me, but I feel like that. I feel like it's a lot more unifying and more powerful that way, personally.
Wait, say that one more time.
If social movements like BLM and stuff don't have like figureheads or like leaders,
Mm. Well, they do. I mean, there are the three women that started the organization, and there are
right? They're the
organizers
yeah.
and chapters. But what you know what I mean in the sense of like uh, you know, like celebrities and influencers and whatnot throwing their weight behind things is always just a good move, because it like celebrity has a power to maybe be like, oh, like just because someone's like, oh, I'm going to support this because I like LeBron James and LeBron James said this was good, so let me do it, doesn't change the fact that they're supporting it now and they're about it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's a powerful thing. But I think that to say that the movement is without leaders and that celebrities sort of fill that role, I think is a misunderstanding of the dynamics of organization.
No, I was saying that I prefer, like, I think it's better if social movements like BLM don't have figureheads and leaders because
Hmm.
it's more unifying if you look at it as like sort of just like people. And I get
Yeah.
that there are founders of the formal organization, but I personally I don't, and a lot of people I know don't who like go to protests and who consider themselves a part of BLM
Mm.
don't like recognize them as like, oh well, they're the leaders of BLM. It's like no one looks at it that way. They founded an organization for organizational purposes. Because
Yeah.
there does need to be a certain level of organization, even with social movements. We have to have rallies, we have to have, dates, times. There has to be a way for people to donate. Those funds have to be appropriated in a certain way. So it makes sense to, have a physical organization. But it's like that tweet. It says, to you, Black Lives Matter is an organization. To us, Black Lives Matter.
True. True. Yeah. And absolutely. I mean, it has become a unifying uh, sort of movement, because you do see other organizations at rallies. Like there was, the Socialist Alternative and like the PSL, at rallies and whatnot. And while they weren't leading shit, they were still there and part of it, and they were in the over encompassing. So I kind of get what you're saying. Yeah, it does become a more powerful thing. Um, that BLM has become, because it isn't necessarily led by one uh, human being that is like the face.
Yeah. Like at least the way I've always viewed it was that the formal organization of BLM exists solely for like organizational purposes and
Right,
for a way for us to have a specific place to to fundraise and to donate and all those things. But it's not like, oh, BLM has a hierarchy and like these are the leaders and
right.
so that's all I was saying.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I misunderstood. I'm sorry. I don't know.
But
I'm trying to start an argument, man. We need to get sensational.
yeah, the problem with our podcast is it's just us jerking each other off for an hour.
Oh my god, dude. Like we're just like, yeah, man, this shit's fucked. We gotta start becoming debate lords so people will watch us.
We gotta start bringing Proud Boys on.
No, no.
And I was gonna say, let's knock out these next two Trump things real quick, and then we'll end on something a little cooler. But
Let's talk about fucking Drumpf.
Trump. No, just I actually just saw this headline as I was scrolling before we started recording.
Mm-hmm.
But it's from Forbes, and basically at a rally,
Yeah,
uh, he said that he plans to negotiate. You know what that means to Trump anyway. Terrible negotiator, worst businessman on the fucking planet.
he's a great negotiator.
Great negotiator. He basically plans to negotiate to run again in 2024 if he wins re-election in November. Obviously, this is very alarming. It's the same idea as his. Well, we can just like postpone the election or not have it.
We should
It's
not have the election. We don't have
he's
to do it.
saying he's entitled to a third term because of quote unquote the way we were treated.
Oh yeah, he's been talking about a third term for a while. Even before he, I think he met with Xi Jinping, and he was just like, "I think it's a very attractive idea. You know, uh, uh, you're president for life." Maybe it wasn't Xi Jinping. Maybe it was like Kim Jong Un. But he was just like, "Yeah, man, being interfering in elections, maintaining power for much longer than the Constitution says I should. I'm about that life. Let's do it." So he's been gearing up for it, and he's trying to like get his base feeling super amped for election day because there might be David Packman and Kyle Kalinske both talked about a red mirage on election day, where because of all the mail-in voting, um, it will seem like Trump took the election on election night when, after everything is fully tallied, it won't be so. And the prediction is that Trump will be like, oh yeah, we won. And if anything changes, he's just going to be like, fraud, fucking fraud. It's fraud. They're trying to cheat me out of my election. The dirty Democrats are trying to put their fingers in my butthole with this election.
The dirty Democrats and Antifa, they're trying to dry dock me. Okay.
They're trying to give me a dirty Sanchez, and I don't like that. We discussed my safe word. It's Russia. It's Putin.
They're trying to put one on me. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a part of this whole weaponizing thing he does, and
Mm-hmm.
Michael Cohen, his former Loic, oh my god, his former lawyer, now incredible critic, has basically said, "Hey, don't disregard his comments as like humor." He
Mm-hmm.
like when he spent time with Trump. Trump truly believes that he should be the quote unquote ruler or dictator of the U.S. and wants to quote change the Constitution. Uh,
Mm.
here that Cohen predicted that were Trump to win re-election, he is going to automatically day number one start thinking how he can change the Constitution for a third and then fourth term.
Mm.
So
No,
Uh,
absolutely not.
Cohen claimed Trump's affinity for dictators is the tell that he himself has similar ambitions, like what he said to President Xi and like what he said to many other people. Cohen said,
Hmm.
of Trump's musing about a third term, it's why he admires the Kim Jong Uns of the world. Wow, I can't speak today. It's been,
The Kim Jong Uns of the world are Trump's fucking, you know, wet dream. He's just like, Daddy Kim Jong, I love how you extend your terms over and over again, and that you're the ruler of everything. We're so handsome and perfect.
you remember that weird video that looked like an office or like a Parks and Rec thing where
Yep,
he's
where
like
he's just like,
getting our good sides. We want to, something about like wanted to look thin, very thin, and then it just shows Kim just being like looking at the camera, just like,
what the fuck did you just say about me, bro?
bro,
Like, dude, it's
thank you.
Trump is the fucking worst, dude. Like,
Uh, yeah,
it's unfortunate because, like, while we are on the Don't Panic podcast, I might just make you panic with this statement, but this is definitely a time to thoroughly consider arming yourself, um, because the increased violence that we're seeing from, like, the Proud Boys, with the rhetoric coming from the president and the way that he is talking about this election, and his very, very dictator like, and very specifically fascist dictator like personality, is making uh, the reality for marginalized groups and people on the left that in we are placed down in defense mode, um,
yeah,
right now. And it's also a time to invest in, and start thinking about reaching out for mutual aid type of shit. People are getting evicted, and stuff is very, very harsh right now because of COVID. So reaching out, and if you have the ability to help people out, you should definitely do that, because you know we've things are getting crazy. Anyway, don't panic though.
yeah. I mean, it's really weird. It's really weird because right now Biden leads Trump by about 7.5%
Yeah,
in Real Clear Politics' most recent poll.
yeah,
Uh, which is a fair amount more than where Hillary led Trump by at this point.
yeah.
It's very weird to me because it just feels like Biden has no momentum and like no power right now. Like there's a
Right.
lot of power behind Trump. He's got all the sensational flag waving. He's got all the ads. He's got even when I see Biden ads, they just kind of feel like just like oomphless. They just don't hit. Trump's got an ad. He's like, "I'm Donald Trump, and Joe Biden is an Antifa communist Mexican. He doesn't look Mexican, but he is." And then there's
Right.
like shots of his crowds, and they're like, "Woo!"
Oh, dude, or it's like shots of fucking towns that have been devastated by the economic downturn
Yeah,
of COVID, or, like, because of the fucking, what's the word I'm looking for? The fucking, damage done because of police brutality, protests turning into riots. When he's like, "Oh, don't, you know continue to be rough with those, fucking, what's the word I'm looking for? Be rough with your suspects. Uh, you know, they tell them not to be too rough, but you should be rough.
I love showing destroyed towns and being like,
This is going to be Biden's America, but
"This could be Biden's America." Well, it's currently happening under Trump's America. Yeah,
right, this is your America, dude. You're just showing effects of what you've done, and there are Republicans turning on Trump,
yeah.
but you just don't, we don't see it.
It's very wild to me that Trump's campaign slogan right now is basically Trump 2020. Only Trump can save America from Trump. You
Right.
know?
Like, if you elect me, I will stop all the shitty things that I'm doing to you.
God.
All of the garbage that I've put you through, I'll stop if you give me this fucking election again.
That's what an abusive boyfriend says. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Just give me another chance, baby. I'll show you I can change, and we'll have an even better America.
Oh my god. Uh, well, yeah. So there. That's just Trump doing his wild shit again, and then of course everyone knows this already. But he. I mean, he knew about Corona, and he didn't want people to panic. Meanwhile, he's espousing this radicalist theory about they're coming for you, they're coming for your guns, they're coming for your homes.
Oh yeah, Antifa planes full of fucking like super soldiers are coming to your small town to steal your shit. But I don't want people to panic about COVID. That is once again fascism 101 in a situation where
That old man that the police pushed over in Buffalo, New York. Yeah, that was an Antifa super soldier. He did that on purpose.
oh my god, that guy was Jason fucking Bourne. Did you see the way he was coming at the cops by handing him his helmet?
Yeah, he was Jason born to fall.
Oh, that's horrible. You're a terrible human being. I want you to know that.
Yeah, I know, but yeah. So I mean, he knew about Corona, and everyone knew that he knew anyway. Like him admitting it really doesn't do anything for us as people who knew that he knew, and we knew that he knew because there were those senators. Like the entire goddamn government was briefed in like January from the WHO. This is basically like, yo, this is going to be a pandemic. You got to start preparing contingency methods. Blah blah blah. And then multiple senators sold their stocks and quarantined
Yep.
because they knew an economic crash was happening. They knew everything was going to happen. And you think that they were going to brief Congress, but they weren't going to brief the president? No, he knew.
Right.
Anyone
Yeah.
with half a brain knows that he knew. He's
Yep.
just admitting it now, and it means nothing.
Well, it's not that he's admitting it was a. Well, it's not that he's admitting it now. It's the fact that there was a recording of him, like saying, "Oh yeah, like I know that this thing is terrible and worse." And then when confronted about it, he was like, "Oh yeah, of course, you know, I'm not gonna tell everybody about this possible weakness, from his perspective. It's part of the whole like fascist thing. He's got to keep everyone feeling like everything's a okay while everything's really on fucking fire. It's the this is fine meme. We're living the this is fine meme.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ah,
sorry, I'm
dude.
ranting about fascism so much. Um,
What else is there to really rant about at this point? I mean, I can rant about the Eagles and how they lost yesterday, and it's some fucking bullshit. I'm still angry about that. So,
oh god,
yeah.
yes, Eagles fascism, equal amounts of anger.
I mean, here's something for football. The first game of the season was on Thursday. It was the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Houston Texans playing in Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City is one of only two home stadiums that will allow fans in the stands at 20% capacity. The other one is the Jaguars. So what happened was a league-wide thing that's happening is the two teams are going to lock arms in basically a 30-second moment of silence to promote unity because we're all in this together. All in this together.
High School Musical, baby. That's it.
Efron. Yeah. So, fun fact: Zac Efron didn't actually sing his songs in High School Musical One.
I did not
Boom.
know that.
High School Musical fact. I got a lot of those actually. I'm the High School Musical fact guru. Come to me for all your High School Musical knowledge. But
This might be your TikTok brand, bro.
oh god.
Anyway, so they're doing their lock arms for unity. What happens?
Then come the booze. Just
Jesus Christ.
no politics are mentioned. No BLM. No racial stuff is mentioned. It's just hey, there's a whole lot of shit going on right now, and we're all in it together. Etc. It's all they're trying to promote.
Yeah.
And it's the booze, and it's Kansas City, Missouri. How much are you expecting? But
Yeah. Wow.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
rough.
that's the one thing. It's the one thing I wanted to add about the NFL. But so last thing to touch on before we run out of time here is this is just something I read that I thought was very interesting. Is Asus is a I believe they're Korean. Hold on, I'm gonna look real dumb if I'm wrong about this.
Okay.
Taiwanese.
Okay.
They're a Taiwanese tech company. They're very well known, obviously, for their computer tech.
Yep.
Um, they make graphics cards, monitors, etc.
Right. Right. Right.
Computers. So they are partnering with IKEA to make
Okay.
a line of gaming furniture, like gaming chairs and like gaming desks and stuff like that.
Cool.
Um, to make it affordable. Because one thing about gaming furniture is that it's goddamn expensive. Like
Right.
gaming desks cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Gaming chairs. I'm sitting in one right now. This thing is like hella off brand. Like
Hmm.
it was like normally $130. I had a Amazon gift card and it got discounts. So I got it for like 50. But
Nice.
like if you want like a good gaming chair, like a DX Racer or something like that, I mean, you're
Right.
looking at like $600, $300, $600 for a chair.
Oh my, that's a lot for a chair.
Yeah, like a Secret Lab chair is like anywhere between like 350 to like 700. You know,
That's a lot for a chair.
and then of course like yeah, it's a lot for a chair. Um, Gaming is definitely one of those things where like a lot of the like a gaming desk I'm seeing right now like I'm seeing one for like 359.90. And there are ways around it. There are Chinese knockoffs, etc. But having something of quality
Hmm.
uh, from Asus is very very interesting because it looks
Yeah.
like the goal is to make. Because I was having this conversation with Trish the other day, but about how like streaming and gaming is becoming like the mainstream form of like media and like
Yeah.
entertainment.
Yeah.
Like Twitch, like gaming used to be this very gate kept, very side thing. But I'd say probably 3 to 4 years ago is when it really entered mainstream media becoming popular. And I can go on forever a rant about like how companies tried to. I think I did this before actually in another podcast. I talked about how like how companies really tried to take on gaming and streaming because they knew it was the next thing, and it is.
Yeah.
It TV is like traditional TV is like declining at like a rapid pace. Even
Hmm.
like TV shows and movies is going down. Like live streaming, like even if it's not gaming, but like events, like concerts are being live streamed, sporting events, like it's just the new way that it's going to be put together. And when we were talking with Bladberry, we were talking about how like this like monopoly that Amazon has on streaming too. It's like Twitch is the premier platform. YouTube has a little bit, but Twitch is like the premier platform. So it's like this.
Yeah.
It has a lot of power behind. It has a lot of money. Because Amazon is so rich.
Right.
So it's very it was very gate kept and very expensive. The point where if you wanted or needed if you wanted to like enter into the world of like gaming and streaming, you have to spend a lot of money on equipment. You
Yeah.
know, if you want to be a legitimate streamer, you got to have multiple monitors. You have to probably pay someone to help set up Streamlabs. You need Streamlabs. You need probably a switcher. All these things. Gaming has this very sort of defined look. You know,
Yeah.
um, so you're probably investing thousands into this setup.
Right.
Um, so
Damn.
yeah,
True.
I mean, I'm seeing some photos of what things are going to look like too, and we're talking about like chairs that are going to be under 150 that would normally retail for 400 and up,
Oh wow.
and they're going to look good too. I mean, they're going to be like leather bound chairs with like the Asus logo on it, with like straps and like LED colors, and you know,
Wow. Where can I find this?
I'm looking at an article from Geek Culture, but if I just searched Asus and IKEA, very very cool. Because like right now, the only thing you can really turn to is like Chinese brands, and
Yeah.
I'm sure I've said before, but China does replication very good because they have a lot of money but no innovation. But the product quality isn't always like top tier.
Hmm.
because they don't have the resources really to always put out like top tier quality. Although there are some things
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what is it?
Dang, it's coming in February though.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit, but
Ah, I want it now.
it's like the company Huawei, I think it's called.
Huawei,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, they make like the iPhone knockoff in China, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
pretty identical. And they also make like it's called like the Zen Book, I think. It's called the P phone and the Zen Book, and the Zen Book looks like a MacBook for the most part, and it's pretty
Yeah,
identical too. The only thing is it runs its own unique operating system that doesn't make a lot of sense. But
right.
I mean, you can get a Huawei P30, which is identical to your iPhone 11, but the iPhone 11 is like $1,000 to $1,100,
Hold up,
and the
hold up.
Huawei.
Oop, you're good.
All right, and the you can get a Huawei P30, which is identical to your iPhone 11, except the iPhone 11 is like $1,100, and this Huawei P30 is $230.
Wow.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's just you have to expect to not run obviously iOS on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have their own operating system that's not Android as well. So you
Huh,
know,
I thought they operated on Android.
I might be wrong. I thought they had their own, but I might be
I
wrong.
mean, I don't know stuff. I don't know things.
Yeah, but just very interesting. Um,
Indeed.
now, obviously, it doesn't have all the build stuff. It doesn't have the processing power that an iPhone has because iPhones have superior processing power to really anything out there.
Right.
Like the 814 Bionic is like the new chip they're on for the 12 Pro, and it's like, I mean, it dwarfs the newest Samsung Galaxy. Like the Note 20 Ultra is, I mean, it might as well be a tablet. I mean, you're talking about an iPhone 12 phone that has the power of a MacBook.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
There
insane.
are things called processing scores that they record in benchmark tests. But
Okay.
basically, what it is they record how many processing motions, like how many different things it's able to process within a single second.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so basically, the newest Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra was like 3,000, and then the new chip that's going to be in the 12 Pro Max, the A14 Bionic, was like 4,000 something, and it was only like maybe a couple off from the new MacBook.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
tech innovation, if anything, is just adding a lot of power to smaller and smaller sizes right now. That's kind
Yeah.
of like
It's
really
just
what we're
figuring
doing
out
at
how
it.
to compact everything.
Yeah, and certain things are becoming cheaper. It's not all cheap. Actually, it's all kind of spiked lately because of this
Why
trade
is
war with China. And a lot of the resources and parts come from China.
Gotcha.
Uh, so Sony was when Trump was trying to add these tariffs to Chinese imports. Um, well, he did, but basically, so when he was trying to do it, Sony was like, "Hey, don't do that because like we source a lot of our parts and stuff from China, so we're gonna have to pay tariffs on stuff that we import to the U.S. to build, and
Yeah.
there's gonna be a lot of issues. Like we're gonna have to charge a lot of money." So they're basically like, "Dude, you could be looking at like $1,000 PlayStation 5, you
Oh
know."
God.
Which I think has luckily not happened because they found a workaround with like getting parts in a certain way
Yeah.
and building in a certain way, but like so it's probably gonna be like 500. And
Ugh.
luckily, the Xbox One X, sorry, the Series X will be 500 also. Shit, I'm getting a fucking call. I didn't turn it on to Do Not Disturb.
You fool.
Give me a second. Okay. Um,
Good.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that happened very, very recently because like
Mm-hmm.
last I looked up was not long ago and I was recording. Um, so what was I saying? Shit, I don't remember what I was saying at all.
I think we should cut it off. We're losing our brains right now.
I was talking about Huawei for like a second, and then I was like, the imports and the tariffs, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so, and then the Series X is going to be 500, and I think part of the reason why they were able to keep it that way is because they started production on the Series X a year ago, so way before this kind of thing happened. So
right.
they had a sort of set in stone kind of where they were going to be price wise and build wise anyway. But the Series X is going to be a very impressive piece of technology. It still can't hasn't kept up obviously with modern PC. You know, if you're going to build your own, but getting that kind of power out of a $500 console
Yeah,
that's plug and play, ready to go. You don't have to download software. You don't have to do any building. You don't have to do any upkeep. You don't have to make sure you meet game requirements. You don't have to like everything will work optimally and is built for that. And that's
yeah,
why consoles are popular is because they have a certain amount of convenience.
yeah. Of course.
Um, but it's impressive like where the Series X is and like how far we were just back what like 6 years ago with just the original Xbox One. Is that really
Yeah.
6 years at this point? Wow, holy crap!
Yep.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
and the One X came out like 2 3 years ago at this point. Yeah, so
Hmm.
everyone was like, "Oh my god, the One X like 4K, that's crazy." Now we're looking at 4K, 120 frames per second, and then a possibility moving into the future with like 8K. You know,
Oh God. So we'll be able to see the pores in every character's fucking face.
yeah, I want to see pimples on my video game characters.
Yes, I want to see everyone's blackheads. That's horrible.
Um, but yeah, the PS5 isn't going to have the same amount of power, but there's better things about the PS5. It's really sort of like there's no superior in my opinion. I just prefer Xbox. My
Yeah.
friends are there. I prefer the UI. I have all the games, etc. Whatever.
Right.
Um, but
PlayStation. PlayStation is the shit, but it's fine if you're wrong. That's what you want to be.
yeah, just the user interface for PlayStation is like really fucking ugly. So, and I think the
It's
controllers kind of suck. So, yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. What
Eh,
you have to say? Whatever. But
eh. But yeah, um, I guess that's really about it. I'm gonna in February. I'm gonna look into this shit. I'm gonna get me some fucking IKEA Asus
yeah, right.
gaming. I'll get a fucking headband. I don't care. I'll get some IKEA Asus gaming underwear with a hole in the bottom for me to run to the bathroom
That's
and
where we
shit through it.
find out that Jet is a IKEA and Asus hype beast. But no, I'm excited. I need a new desk, so
It's gonna be the new Supreme.
it's gonna be the new Supreme.
IKEA Asus.
IKEA
Yeah,
Asus. That's the shits. Get out of here.
I'm hyped. But all right, thanks for tuning into the Don't Panic Podcast. Patreon.com/Don't Panic Podcast. You get episodes a week early, and you get access to bonus episodes. We have another one coming; it'll be our third one. So you'll get 3 bonus episodes and everything moving into the future. Please check out the tiers and what you get on Patreon. But please subscribe. We would love to try and do a little more for everyone who watches and listens.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what we can do to make your experience better. And thanks for tuning
Yep.
in.
Thanks for tuning in.
All right, have a
Night.
good one.
This has been an episode of the Don't Panic Podcast. Thanks for listening and making it to the end. If you want content creators like us to be able to continuously put out consistent quality content, we're going to need a little bit of help. If you subscribe to our Patreon, you get early access to all of our episodes and all of our bonus episodes as well. That's patreon.com/Don't Panic Podcast. We need as much help as possible to keep this thing going. Again, that's patreon.com/Don't Panic Podcast. And thank you again.